Hey, shalom, shalom, mic check, mic check. Hey, shalom, shalom, mic check, mic check. Hey, shalom, shalom, mic check, mic check. Hey, shalom, shalom. Alright, hey, shalom, Akim. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to our powers, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakah. I want to say Brakatah YAHAWAH, Brakatah YAHAWASHI, Brakatah YAHAWAH, and Brakatah YAHAWASHI. I give it up honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone that have taught us this truth, that are constant and well through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. Hey, peace, mercy, and blessings to all you beloved brethren that are out there pushing the words of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI in truth and sincerity, that are not wavering to the left nor to the right, but constantly staying on that straight and narrow, fighting for your crowns in these last days that we are truly living in. Even shalom to the few sisters, the Akwabs that are out there, and even shalom to the Israelite foreigners, those that may look like the other nations, but their seed line is going back into our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the brother Ira, coming back with another Friday Night Live, which Lord willing, these lessons do be edifying to the Lord's elect. And I pretty much entitled this one, There Is No Looking Back. Keep your oath to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. All right. And you know, an oath is something that is very serious, is very solemn, okay? And when we came to the conclusion in our mind that Babylon was not our rest, all right? When we say Babylon, we're speaking about America, okay? Which is spiritually called Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon. All right, we decided to put our life in the back burner for Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, all right? And there ain't no turning back. Once you decide to serve the Lord, there ain't no opting out, all right? It's pretty much the only way for you to get out is through death, all right? It's kind of like the mob. You know, if you joined the mob, okay, it was blood in and blood out, so to speak. You know, and that's how it is when you come to serve the Lord. All right, you're committed all the way up until everything is done. Everything is done, till everything is fulfilled, okay? All right, so we don't really have a choice, all right? Our will is to do the will of the Heavenly Father and His Son, YAHAWASHI, man, all right? And that's why I wanted to go into this topic, which, you know, I just got a couple precepts, couple examples, which, Lord willing, you know, they hit the mark to those that may need to hear it, all right, because we truly are at the end, all right. Things are getting ready to get harder, shaky. Our faith is getting ready to be tried, okay. And you know, like brothers been pushing and going into that through the blood of the Lamb, all right. YAHAWASHI, all right, is your only way out of, you know, martial law, you know, making it through beheadments, imprisonments, okay. There's no other way, all right, to make it out of the destruction that's coming to America, which is the ultimate icing on the cake, which is them ICBM missiles, them nuclear missiles, man. You know. All right, so let me get this scripture right here in the book of Ecclesiastes, right? Let's get the book of Ecclesiastes first. All right, because Solomon made a beautiful point that I want to kind of bring out, all right? Ecclesiastes 9:1, okay? Because remember, you know, Solomon, which was one of the wisest men on the earth, you know, he considered all things, okay? He experimented in all different many aspects of life, okay? And one thing that he came to notice is that regardless if, you know, you just a nigga on the couch playing 2K, smoking blunts, or you just a well cleaned up Jake that been working all your life, living a 9 to 5, but you out there at church on Sundays with your children chasing eggs for Easter Sunday, and you just worshiping Jesus, or you just a Jake that just got done slurping on some crab butter or some shrimp butter, you know, and you was rubbing your belly because how good it tastes when you was eating that abominable, you know, every man's accounts and actions will be held against you, okay? All right, and we all die. Every one of us will die, except for, you know, those that, you know, make it or whatnot. But Solomon came to the conclusion that all men die on the earth. So he said, well, if you're going to die, if we all going to come to this final end, why not live your life righteously, you know? And that was kind of what Solomon was accessing in his mind. If we all, you know, going to go back to the spiritual realm, it's better for men to just live their life right by YAHAWAH, by YAHAWASHI. So when you make this oath to the Lord, just keep it, you know? Because everything that's under the sun is all vanity here, you know? All right? The way we live life here is all vanity, okay? So I just wanted to bring that out because I thought that was like important. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 9:1. It says, for all this I considered in my heart, even to declare all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of the Most High, YAHAWAH. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them. Right now, Solomon is saying that, you know, none of us truly know who's really going to receive of the favor. All right. And, you know, concerning the prophecy is that not all of Israel was going to wake up in the last days, but only the election was going to obtain of the Lord's mercies. All right. Which is, you know, you able to have the fear, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to everything that is written in his book, what we ought to know in order to receive salvation. Okay. And that's the favor right there, you know. All right. That's the favor that the Lord is showing to his elect, because see, the elect have been allotted since the foundation of the earth. Okay. And the fact that the Lord is giving us a chance to, you know, rehearse these righteous acts, become the new creatures, all right, born after the image of Hamashiach YAHAWASHI. All right, we gotta stand firm and maintain these practices of good works, no matter how hard it is, you know. And that's the side that a Christian doesn't understand, because a Christian thinks that, you know, as long as they profess out of their mouth that they're a believer in the Lord, and that it's enough, that they're going to be saved by him. And that's not true. Okay. All right. The disciples, the servants, the prophets, everybody that served Yahweh by YAHAWASHI did not live good and ordinary lives. Okay. You know, and that's what you have to prepare your mind for. All right. You have to prepare your mind to continuously go down this straight gate. And like Apostle Gabar says, you know, that, hey, whatever's in your road, that becomes a part of your path. That becomes a part of your path. So you got to use critical thinking to get shit out your way to keep moving forward. And then we utilize prayers. All right. We tap into the spirit. We take correction, admonishment, and exhortation from brothers that put forth lessons or speak to us and tell us, you know, how to operate while we're, you know, serving the Lord. Okay. We got examples that are set before us, so that way we can continuously keep going, you know, men to look forward to. Right now, let's keep reading. In verse 2, it says, Ecclesiastes 9:2, it says, all things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, and to the good and to the clean and to the unclean, to him that sacrificeth and to him that sacrifices not. As is the good, so is the sinner, and he that sweareth, as that feareth an oath. All right, now I'm gonna read that in the NLT, but before I do it, because it says, and he that sweareth as he that feareth an oath. All right, because when you swear something, you know, most people got in their mind like a swear is like, you know, you saying fuck, bitch, shit, you know, stop swearing. You need some soap in your mouth. That's not swearing. All right, swearing is when you create a vow or a promise, which in another word, a swear is an oath. Okay, and that's why it may mention that when you make an oath, you should fear whenever you think of making an oath to the Lord, because your oath is something that is serious. So when you put your hands to this plow, that was serious business right there. That was serious business. You know? So you got to be dedicated. All right? Let's get the word sweareth real fast, right? The word sweareth is shabai, which means to swear, adjure, sworn, to swear, take an oath. Okay? Right? So when you swear, you're taking an oath. All right? Now, you know, what is an oath? An oath is a solemn promise, often invoking a divine witness regarding one's future action or behavior. A serious promise that you will tell the truth or that you will do what you have said. Okay? So we all have made a promise to YAHAWASHI to maintain this office that the Lord has given us up until the very end of Esau's world. You know, there ain't no looking back like Lot's wife. That she was an example of looking back to her former life, her friends, family, wealth, you know, things that she enjoyed in the world that she came out of. But she got destroyed because she was told, do not look back. All right. And that's how we got to be when it comes down to us serving YAHAWASHI to the end. Do not look back. Don't go nowhere else. Matter of fact, when you got a demon that's messing with you, you know, you got to go to what the scriptures say. All right. When you got a demon that's messing with you, the scriptures say what? Let me get this real fast. One of my favorites. All right. Hold on. This is Psalms chapter 46 and 10. It says, be still and know that I am Yahweh. BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The power of Jacob is our refuge. Salah. So when them demons start messing with you, when your flesh start feeling troubled, pause. Sit back for a second. Meditate on the scriptures. Tap into the spirit, you know? All right? Don't try to figure out something else. The path has already been set, and every man has to tread that path. Just like it tells you in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter. Every man has to tread that path, okay? You know? And it's so narrow that there's only one man that could tread that path at a time, okay? All right? But that path that has been set before us is the only path that's going to lead us to the kingdom, all right? Matter of fact, let's get that real fast, all right? Because, hey, you know, you watch the, what's that movie? The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, you know? And he heard the echoing sounds, stay on the path, you know? All right? Because it's the only way, all right? It's the only way. This world will devour you and chew you up, man, okay? There's so many elements and ways that this world will destroy you. And you're not stronger than the spirit of Babylon the Great, man. This place turns people out to a demonic ass being, you know? And the only thing that's keeping us sane is the Lord. The Lord is the only one keeping us sane out here. While all these people are demonically possessed and bugged out. Eyes wide open and shit, and then they could somewhat resort back to normalcy for a second, that they're bugged out, you know? Sometimes I hate talking to people. God damn, you're fucking a weirdo. And they try to make it seem like you're weird. No, your ass is weird. But anyways, let me go back. Let me get to that precept, all right? So I read what an oath is. Something that you said that you would do, all right? A serious oath. Okay, let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 7. And let's start at verse 1. It says, and when I made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me the nights afore. And he said unto me, up, Ezra, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. And I said, speak on, my power. Then said he unto me, the sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? So if you don't go through this path, how can you expect to rule the world? How can you expect to achieve this great exaltation, you know, high level? Because that's what the elect is going to achieve, you know, once they overcome the beast system, all right, Esau and his mark, and the elect get delivered from the destruction. They going to receive crowns to reign over the heathens, all right, and then even to be a higher level than the Israelites that die on this side, all right, legendary status, a name that will be remembered throughout all ages, okay, even when the elect of, because Israel will come back, all Israel will come back in the kingdom, right, be reborn again, all right, but when they see you, they're going to know that, dang, that's him who is the one that made it through Babylon. That's him. Those that come back, they're going to know, like, damn, he's the one that endured through Babylon. So it's going to be like a higher level of a praise for your sacrifice on this side when we're in the kingdom. Okay, so you got to understand what Ezra is saying, right? Let me read that again. 2nd Ezra 7 and 5. It says, who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? There is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad hill, a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? So you have to go through that only pathway in order to, you know, rule the world, all right? That's the only way. And that's why the scriptures say that, you know, when we come into this truth, you can't look back, you know, because Jake loves to talk about spiritual powers, you know, ruling over the heathens, all right? But the Lord wants to try and see if you're worthy, you know, and that's why there's certain major tests that is set before us to see, you know, when that fire hits, are you going to endure through it? Or are you going to bitch up and change when shit gets hot, you know? All right. And hey, you know, there's certain examples where certain men try to opt out of what they told the Lord that they were going to do, you know, but then had to realize that after getting jacked up, you know, that the Lord, that they, oh, hold on, I gotta pay my respect to what I vowed to the Most High, you know. Let me get another precept, all right? Let me get another precept real fast. Let me get Ecclesiastes chapter what is it? It's 5, Ecclesiastes 5. Let me get Ecclesiastes 5. All right, give me a second. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 4. It says, when thou vowest a vow unto the Most High Yahweh, defer not to pay it, for he have no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. All right, and that's why we tell brothers that certain things you want to be mindful that you don't want to make certain vows, you know. All right, like don't try, like, you know, don't try to grow your hair out and be a Nazarite, because you're gonna have to cut your hair, because you're gonna have to drink of the wine during the Passover, you know. All right, there's certain vows you just don't want to make, but when you come into the truth, that is also an oath that you made with the Lord. It's like a covenant. It's a promise, you know. All right, I'm gonna keep this vow and serve you up until the job is done, which we are close. We're close to the job being done with all this pushing forth of hate speech and, you know, them labeling protesters Antifa, anti-fascist individuals, which really they targeting us, right? Because they want to stop the real threat, because we got the spiritual weapon that Esau can't fight against, which is the words of Yahawah BAHASHAM. All right, but we're not going to always be out there preaching. But even when the Lord takes us off the streets, you know, there's certain tests that we're going to have to overcome, like imagining yourself not eating for 3-4 days. You know, are you going to be able to handle that pressure and believe that the Lord is going to sustain you? You know, believe that the Lord is going to give you food. All right. Or when there's people trying to chase you down and murder you, do you believe the Lord can hide you and conceal your presence and, you know, do wonders and miracles to get you away? Or let's say Esau kicking your door at 4 in the morning, you know, he kicking your door, and then you just in your bed with your woman laid up, and shit, you just getting grabbed up, zip tied up, and whatever you got on, and tossed into a van, taken into a concentration camp. Do you believe that you're going to have the strength and fortitude to resist the temptation that is going to come? All right, and that's why we push faith, 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 you know. All right, you got to have faith. Okay, so it says, right, it says, let's keep reading. It says, better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. See, right? It says, suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should the Most High be angry at thy voice and destroy the works of thine hands? Now, let me read this in the NLT, right? Because verse 7, it says, talk is cheap like daydreams and other useless activities. Fear the Most High instead. Because see, a lot of times what Jake can do is they can talk a good game, you know. Jake would be like, what I would do in this scenario, this is how I would have done it, you know. And or Jake would be like, yeah, I'm about that action, you know, this, that, and the third. All right, and then deep down inside, they never really was like that, but they talked a good game. And even Jake be so good at talking such a good game that they'll convince you that this dude is solid as hell, but he brittle in the inside like a left out cookie or something, you know, something that just, when you touch it slightly, it just turn into powder on you, you know. Had a solid form, but then as soon as you touched it, it just crumbled. All right, so King Solomon said talk is cheap, you know. Don't hey, the scriptures say you deceiveth your own self, you know. All right, when you don't do, when you don't really practice what you preach or really about what you saying, you deceive your own self. All right. And, you know, furthermore, Solomon, which I want to get this in the book of Numbers, right? Numbers chapter 30. All right. Because Solomon quoted also from what Moses said out of the law. All right. Let's get this in Numbers chapter 30 and verse 1. Right. It says, and Moses spoke unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, this is the things which the Lord hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, right? Jake say that in the hood. Yo, my word is bond, you know? All right, and that's a Jake thing. My word is bond. You know, so, you know, a man that lived by his word is a very valuable and respectable man. You know, you can always call on, and he's the first one to consider because he's always about what he says he's going to do. So he's trustworthy, he's reliable. And that's something that the Most High imparted unto us, because you will always hear that the promise of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I shall not give my name to any other. You know, I swore by your fathers that I will give you the land. You know, the Most High had always sworn what he was going to do, even destroying us, putting curses on us, you know. And whatever the Most High sworn, he did it. You know, he did it. He did it. Okay. So the Most High is an example too of when he says something that he means it, you know. And that's why there's another precept. There's another precept, I believe it's in the book of Psalms. It says, let me get it real fast, I'm gonna come right back. It said, he said that his word is above his name. All right. No, it's in the book of Psalms. Right here, Psalms 138 and 2. I will worship towards thy holy temple and praise thy name. Right. And the names of the Heavenly Father, you have to know them. It's YAHAWAH. We say BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Okay? Those are the names you must call upon and praise in these last days. It says, for thy loving kindness and for thy truth, for thou hast magnified thy word above all thy names. So that means that the Most High don't break his words. That's what that means. He won't break his words. Okay? All right, so if he say he gonna do it, that's what he mean, and that's what he told Moses to teach Israel. You gotta be in that same spirit. If you say that you're gonna do something, you yourself have to keep the words that you're promising. Okay, if you promise somebody something, you have to be a man of your words. All right, this is Numbers 30 and 1. It says, and Moses spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, this is the things which the Lord hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. You see? All right. So our words is bond. We said we gonna serve the Lord. That's what we gotta do, you know. All right, and even the example that I got, the first example is Jonah. But before I get that, let me get Deuteronomy 23. All right, because you know when we don't keep the oath, it could become a sin unto us, right? So I want to get that point real fast. Deuteronomy 23, and you know that's something that makes the Most High angry. Okay, Deuteronomy 23 and 21. It says, when thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy power, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For the Lord thy power will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. You see? So, you know, when we don't pay the vow that we said that we were going to pay, it becomes a sin unto us. You see what I'm saying? All right. And that's why the vows that we say are very serious. All right. The vows that we say are very serious. You know, every time I sit right here, it's like Jake always want to come park next to me, play loud music, and I be in a secluded area by myself. You know, it never fails. Leave. Give me a second. All right, try us out of here. But let me read that again. Salakia. Deuteronomy 23:21. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy power, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy power will surely require it of thee, and it would be a sin in thee. So when we don't pay the vows that we say that we're going to pay to the Lord, it could be a sin unto us, which means that the Lord is justified in jacking us up. All right. And, you know, the example that I wanted to start with was Jonah, because Jonah, he also told the Lord that, yeah, I'm going to go to Nineveh and go and prophesy. And Jonah had a slight, like, you know what, I'm about to go do something else, you know? And Jonah got jacked up for that. He got jacked up, you know, for not going to do what he said that he was going to do for the Lord. All right, the Most High don't play when it comes down to not keeping the words that you say. He holds vows very serious. Okay. All right, which let me bear with me for a second. Let me get real fast. Let me go to Jeremiah first. All right. Let me go to Jeremiah first. Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Right now, when the Most High would speak unto Israel or unto men, he'll do it either by dreams, by the mouth of a prophet, or he'll send an angel. You know, the Most High has ways to speak unto his servants. All right. But when he speaks, you know, he gives you instructions what to go do. All right. So Jonah, the reason why I'm bringing out Jeremiah first, because Jonah, Jonah was a prophet. All right. And Jonah, from the beginning, the Most High knew that Jonah was the man for the job to go prophesy against Nineveh. Okay. All right. Which, you know, Nineveh, that was the Assyrian captivity. Nimrod established Nineveh, you know. All right. Let me read on, right? It says, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. All right. Now, Nineveh was ran by the Assyrians. So, you know, when we prophesy, we also prophesy to the other nations as well, their destruction and their downfall. Right. And it's the same thing for Babylon. Okay. Shit, Babylon's going to be destroyed. That's our message to this place. The heathen nation, they're going to go into captivity. Esau going to go into captivity. All right. So you know that they don't like our message, but who gives a damn? All right. Because these words are set in stone. These words ain't going to change, you know. All right. And, you know, even though Jonah, you know, Jonah went to go prophesy unto Nineveh. Nineveh wasn't even destroyed at the time that he went to go prophesy unto it, because you had the Assyrians ruling over the northern kingdom tribes, and, you know, they repented, you know. And when you go into the story, like the backdrop details of what was going on in Nineveh, it was a lot of you know, homosexuality and cross-dressing, and they had perverseness going on in the temple. That's where a lot of Northern Kingdom was practicing idolatry at, which was Nineveh. All right, but you know, when Nineveh repented, that's because Jake was there. You know, all right. So the Most High later on to destroy Nineveh, but still Jonah had to still go do what the Most High told him to do. All right. So let me keep reading back at Jeremiah 1:6. It says, then said I, Lord, power, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But the Lord said unto me, say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Right now, certain Jakes have this, you know, low, what you call it, like self-esteem about themselves. You know, they feel like something hindering them from doing the job. You know, they can't speak, they're not eloquent enough, you know, they whatever. That, who cares? You know? All right, who cares? Hey, Moses was an example of that. You know, he wasn't an eloquent man, so the Most High set him up with a man that was eloquent, which is his brother Aaron. You know, who made man's mouth? All right, so that's a demon that Jake suffered from. All right, and it's developed because you're here in Babylon. All right, put down to be considered as nothing, or that you can't learn or grow out of the state that you were raised in. You know, so that's not really an excuse. You know, the Lord don't care about really excuses. If he say go do something, the Most High really mean go do what he said to do. All right, and the moment that you agree to doing it, which really there ain't no such thing as not agreeing to do it, because the ways of man are in the hands of the Lord. But you know, the thought comes across your mind like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, because that's a spirit. You know, I'm gonna serve the Lord, I'm gonna go do what he want me to do. All right, there's no not going to go do it. Hopefully that makes sense. Sometimes I'll be talking so fast, but hopefully that came out right. Forgive me, bear with me, brothers. But hey, even myself, I twist my own self up. I ain't the best speaker neither, but hey, you know, hey, I believe, so therefore I speak. You know, I always quote that scripture, and I don't give a care, you know. But I say, hey, we can laugh together. But it says, again, Jeremiah 1:7, but the Lord said unto me, say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. So that's what the scriptures say. You know, hey, meditate not what thou shalt speak. You know, when we gotta just rely on the spirit, and you know, you'll hear the apostles going to that. You know, like I didn't even put no scriptures together, you know, just going off the spirit. All right. And then there's a balance to that, right? There's a balance to that too. The balance is that it's in the book of Timothy's. You know, let me just get it real fast. I don't want to misquote it, right? It says neglect shoot. Let me see. Hold on. Bear with me. Here it is. Here it is. 1 Timothy 4 and 13. It says, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy, with the laying on the hands of the presbyteries, the elders, the apostles, right? But the point is to give attendance to reading. So you do have to give diligence to make your call and election sure. You do have to be studious, all right? And then also too, you gotta trust and believe that the Lord will put it in your mind or your mouth to speak what needs to be said, to hit who is supposed to hit, you know? All right, again, let me get this. I quoted, but I'm gonna get it, right? Luke 21 and 14. Matter of fact, let's go to verse 13. It says, and it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your heart, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries should not be able to gainsay nor resist. So the Spirit of the Lord will give you what you need to say in those moments, okay, to, you know, not be overcame, so to speak, you know, all right, for the enemy to have an upper hand on you, all right. So the Lord does provide. He helps. So we ain't got to worry about that insecurity, you know. Just go speak, you know. You believe, so speak. Get into it, all right. But let me get to the example like I had set forth. Just wanted to make those couple points. All right, let me go to Jonah, the first chapter, right? All right, because like I said, Jonah, you know, it doesn't tell you in the first chapter, but he made a vow to go and prophesy to Nineveh, all right, that the Most High was going to destroy it. Hold on, let me get this in the NLT. Jonah chapter 1, verse 1. I'm gonna read it in the NLT. It says, the Lord gave this message to Jonah, the son of Amittai. Now, Jonah, which his name in the Hebrew means YAHAWAH, all right, which hey, YAHAWAH is a beautiful name because it means dove, all right. And Jonah had to be that sacrificial dove, you know. He had to go and present his body as a living sacrifice. He had to, you know. And that's one of the Most High's favorite animals, is a dove. All right, doves are very spiritual, okay? All right. Now, it says, verse 2, get up and go to the great city of Nineveh, announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked its people are. But Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving for Tarshish, which I believe Joppa, if I'm not mistaken, Joppa is a beautiful port when you actually look at it in a geographical land like map, a picture of it. It's a beautiful port in Tel Aviv, you know, where the small hats got the pink city at, you know, which they destroying our land and defiling it. That's a very spiritual land, you know. But when you look at it, the pictures of Joppa is very beautiful. It's got a very beautiful coastline, you know. Brothers should check it out. You know, I looked at it and you know, checked a couple pictures out on Joppa, and Joppa's really beautiful. All right. Just, you know, just throwing that out there. But it says he bought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord by sailing to Tarshish. But the Lord hurled a powerful wind over the sea, causing a violent storm that threatened to break the ship apart. Fearing for their lives, the desperate sailors shouted to their gods for help and threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. But all this time, Jonah was sound asleep down in the hold. All right. So, you know, it don't tell you in the first chapter that Jonah actually vowed. It just kind of jumped straight into, you know, what he just went the other way, you know, so to speak. Like, nah, I ain't even about to go do that. All right. So again, remember Deuteronomy 23. When you vow to the Lord and you don't uphold it, it could become a sin unto you. All right. And the Lord will jack your ass up. He'll treat you like Jonah. All right. So it says, so the captain went down after him. How can you sleep at a time like this? He shouted, get up and pray to your God. Maybe he will pay attention to us and spare our lives. Then the crew cast lots to see which of them had offended the gods and caused the terrible storm. When they did this, the lots identified Jonah as the culprit. So, you know, casting lots, you could flip a coin, you know. I've done that before. Spirit was like on another brother to say we should go teach in another city, and I casted a lot. I flipped the coin. Well, I prayed to the Lord first, because you prayed to the Lord, you know, and I prayed, Lord, should I stay in this city and preach in this city? And I said, if it be heads 3 times, let thy will be done. You know, this is a true account, you know. And that's what I did. I got the quarter, and I flipped it once, let it fall, and the first one heads. You know, Lord, if it be heads again, let thy will be done. Flipped it again, heads. You know, flipped it one more time, heads. 3 times, and that was 3 for understanding, you know. So the spirit was on them when they casted the lots. The spirit zoned in on Jonah. And that was the spirit of YAHAWASHI right there, or you know, it was the spirit of the Most High, you know. All right, so it says why has this awful storm come down on us? They demanded, who are you? What is your line of work? What country are you from? What is your nationality? Jonah answered, I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the power of heaven, who made the sea and the land. The sailors were terrified when they heard this, for he had already told them he was running away from the Lord. Oh, why did you do it? They groaned. All right, because he about to get them destroyed, you know. So they like, we gotta get his ass up out of here. It says, throw me into the sea, Jonah said, and it will become calm again. I know that this terrible storm is all my fault. Instead, the sailors rowed even harder to get the ship to the land, but the stormy seas was too violent for them, and they couldn't make it. Then they cried out to the Lord, Jonah, YAHAWAH, O Lord, they pleaded, don't make us die for this man's sin, and don't hold us responsible for his death. O Lord, you have sent this storm upon him for your own good reason. Then the sailor picked Jonah up and threw him into the raging sea, and the storm stopped at once. The sailors were awestruck by the Lord's great power, and they offered him a sacrifice and vowed to serve him. Now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. All right, which really, it was 4 days. Jonah was in a belly of a beast, you know. All right, and that's the fearful thing, like, you know, because it may mention that being put to death, you know, the Most High can put you to death for breaking your vow, you know. And that's how certain men, you know, come, you know. You see them lose the spirit after they turn their back on the Lord, you know. All right, you know, when a dog returns to his filth, his vomit, you know, it says through pride that that's what separates you from the Heavenly Father and his Son, right? And the Lord just takes the spirit off of men, or bug men out, you know. All right, that's the scary thing, because see, the Most High don't play when it comes to serving the Lord. But if you be of the elect, like Jonah was of the elect, so the Most High chastised Jonah. All right, and this is what Jonah said. I'm gonna get straight to the point. All right, this is now this is Jonah repentant. All right, this is Jonah 1:1. It says, Jonah chapter 2, verse 1. Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his power out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me out of the belly of hell. Right, which show you that hell is not a literal place that you go to. You know, it's a condition. It's a state of mind. Right now we're in hell. America is known as the white man's heaven and the black and Hispanic man's hell, man. You know, all right, and we hate this fucking place. All right, that's why we look forward, man. We hasten to be loose. We hasten to get the fuck out of here. This oppressive ass, demonic, wicked society. You know? No righteousness is here except for the men that are truly striving for YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, man. This place is wicked on all levels. So Jonah was in hell because he was being afflicted. Now, it says, for thou hast cast me into the deep in the midst of the sea, and the floods compassed me about, all thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Right? Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet I will look again towards thy holy temple. The waters compassed me about, even to the soul, the depths closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped about my head, and golly. You know, being in the belly of a beast like that, imagine dead carcasses of things it ate. You know, shit, got shit floating, it's dark as hell, touching you. You know, you be in water for too long, you start getting pruny and cold. So you can only imagine how that shit was like, golly. But yeah, Most High would jack your ass up. And that was, you know, 4 days. Which, you know, 4 is mercy. All right, 4 days. All right. He got spit out. But you know, after experiencing that hell, that's what made Jonah go straightway and I'm gonna keep the vow that I said I was gonna do. And you know, that fear is a motivator, you know, because you know the Most High will fuck you up, like the brother Zakar told Mike Epps. You know, he ran into Mike Epps, you know, and he told Mike Epps, you know, because you know they was doing parodies, him and the other dude that died, about mocking us, the Hebrew Israelites. And Most High put the spirit on the brother to be like, and that's why the Most High gonna fuck you up. You know, shout out to them brothers in LA for sure, you know. But yeah, all right. So he was being tormented. So it says, I went down to the bottoms of the mountains, the earth where her bars were about me forever, yet thou hast brought up my life from corruption, O Lord, thy power. It says, then my soul fainted within me. I remembered the Lord, and my prayers came in unto thee, into thine holy temple, that thou observe lying vanities, forsake thy own mercy. But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. See, so Jonah said it. Jonah said, I'm gonna pay what I vowed to you. All right, you know. And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomit out Jonah upon the dry land. You see? All right, so yeah, just making a point that the Most High would chastise you to fulfill his will if you're of the elect. There's no running away from this. You can't run away from this. If you're of the Lord's elect, you got to uphold of serving the Lord up until the end. You see? All right? And, you know, we're of the hopeful members of the elect, and even maintaining integrity is an important part. When you say you're going to do something, that shows honor and nobility, okay, within your character. All right, I'm gonna do this so you uphold it. You know, brother call you at 3 in the morning. Hey, brother, my tire flat. Damn, you just got out of work maybe a couple hours before. You tired as shit. You know, hey, I'm gonna come get you. Well, you know, you gotta, you know, get up, go get that brother, man. Help that brother out. You know, tell a brother you're gonna do something, go do it. All right. So we all gotta maintain that, you know, mindset. All right. Now you had a man by the name of I don't even know why, Jephthah. Let me get it real fast. Let me go to the book of Judges. All right. Let's get that second example. The book of Judges. This is let me see. Judges chapter 11. Matter of fact, hold on, let me get it out of my book. Yeah, Jephthah. All right, Jephthah's vow. All right. All right, this is Judges 11 and verse 29. Judges 11 and 29, right? It says, then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he had passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and passed over Mizpah of Gilead, and from Mizpah of Gilead he passed over unto the children of Ammon, right? And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So that was Jephthah's sacrifice. Whoever walks out of his door, the first person, he was going to offer them as a sacrifice to the Lord. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hand. So, you know, the Lord heard Jephthah's prayers. He answered them, and Jephthah had to pay that vow. All right, because the Most High swiftly gave the enemies into his hand, just like he wanted. He wanted that to happen, and the way the Lord set it up was that it was going to be one of those hurtful kind of, dang, you know, like, you know, I wanted that to happen, but I didn't know that this was going to be the repercussion of me putting this vow in place, you know. And you know, Jephthah had to be a man. He had to deal with it, you know, even though it was a painful one. So it says, and he smote them from Aurora, even till thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plains of the vineyard, with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. Now, verse 34 says, and Jephthah came to Mizpah unto his house, and beheld, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child. So, you know, it was supposed to be a celebration. But remember, the first person that came out was the one who he was going to have to offer up as a sacrifice. So beside her, he had neither son nor daughter, so that this was his only child. And it came to pass when he saw her, that he rented his clothes and said, alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low. Thou art one of them that trouble me, for I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. You see? We cannot go back. There ain't no going back, you know? All right? It says, And she said unto him, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according that which have proceeded out of thy mouth. And that's his daughter was in the spirit too. You know, hey, you made a vow to the Lord, you got to uphold it. You know, so for as much as the Lord have taken vengeance for thee of thine enemy, even of the children of Ammon. Then she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows. And he said, go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountain. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed. And she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in a year. So, you know, Jephthah paid, he had to pay that vow. And, you know, even the works of Jephthah are recorded in the book of Hebrews as well. All right, let's get that as well. All right, because Hebrews the 11th chapter is a chapter of faith. So even though that it was something harsh that he had to deal with, you know, he still manned up. He still handled his business, you know. All right, rightfully. All right, so even though he had to offer his daughter up, so that was faith. All right, that was part of his faith. This is Hebrews chapter 11 verse 32. It says, and what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. You see, all right. So these ain't, some of these things are victories, you know, chasing armies, you know, putting them to flight. All right, and then some of these that, you know, men that had faith, that vowed to the Lord, and they had to suffer torture. They had to suffer for their faith, which you know, they received the promises later on. All right, so the prophets and the servants of YAHAWASHI, we don't have an easy life or an easy road. But as long as you keep the vow of YAHAWASHI, everything that you lose here in this life, you know, it seems like there's not going to be no better promise, but there is. And that's why we got YAHAWASHI, the words that they said, if you maintain and endure to the end, all right, I shall make you king and ruler over many provinces, you know. And this is something that I won't lie about, okay? Right? It says, and others had trials of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover of bonds, imprisonments. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskin and goatskin, being destitute, afflicted, and tormented. See, all right. So that tells you a lot right there. Sawn asunder, wandering through wilderness, naked. Okay. You know, being afflicted and tormented. All right. But just like, you know, just like the Lord said. All right, just like the Lord said. Matter of fact, let me get this real fast. All right, hey, you know, we can't look back. If we look back, We're not fit for the kingdom. All right. This is Luke 9:62. And YAHAWASHI said unto him, no man having put his hands to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. So no man that look back is fit for the kingdom, the first go around. You know, you're going to be destroyed. All right. That's why we can't look back. That's why we pray to YAHAWASHI, keep us with an enduring heart, enduring spirit, you know, make our stomach iron, you know, to bear whatever we got to go through, so that way we could come out victorious. All right. And then even in the book of Hebrews, right, again, the 6th chapter, let's get that real fast. Hebrews chapter 6, and it's one of my favorites right here. All right, because it mentions that your spirit has to be anchored. It has to be anchored in. Okay, so Hebrews chapter 6 verse 17, it says, wherein the Most High YAHAWASHI willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise the immutable of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath. You see, so even the Most High that opened our mind to you know, through our Lord YAHAWASHI, to open our minds to show us what we know. All right. And that was by a promise, by an oath, a glimpse. We got a glimpse of the kingdom. You know, when brothers talk about the kingdom, we got a glimpse of it. You know, we got a idea of what's in store for us, even though we don't know the full of everything, but we got an idea what's coming. That's a comfort, you know. A lot of jakes don't have that or can see that far off, but we can. And then it says, let me get this in the NLT. It says, YAHAWASHI also bound himself with an oath. See, the Most High himself is bound by his words, so that those who receive the promise could be perfectly sure that he would never change his mind. You see, right? So YAHAWASHI has given both his promise and his oath. These two things are unchangeable, because it is impossible for the Most High to lie. Therefore, we who have fled to him for refuge can have great confidence as we hold to the hope that lies before us. So the hope that lies before us, if we keep the promise and the oath that we swore in before, when we came into the truth, the Lord said we're going to be joint heirs, you know. All right. Just when you read throughout the scriptures, the Most High and his son YAHAWASHI has always said what they were going to do, and they done it, you know. So they're likening the two examples to us. All right. Even if it was a promise or something negative, you know. Most High said we were going to be destroyed for lack of knowledge, subdued by a cruel enemy, put into captivity. It happened, you know. You can read the book of Baruch, the 4th chapter. But then at the end of the book of Baruch, the 4th chapter, it starts to go into how the Lord was going to take away that cup that we were made to drink, you know, and how we were going to get delivered out of the captivity we're in, the last captivity. So we're close. We just got to hold on. Don't look back now. You know, as things keep getting tight and harder, we got to keep pushing forward. So it says, therefore, we who have fled to him for refuge can have great confidence as we hold to the hope that lies before us. It says, this hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls, you know. So an anchor is something for boats, for ships, you know. An anchor will hold a ship in its position. So our spirits got to be anchored in, you know. And how do we keep that lively hope? By staying tapped into the spirit, staying near the waters, right? Stay near the connection, the power source. Okay? It says, for our souls, it leads us through the curtains into the Most High's inner sanctuary. YAHAWASHI has already gone in, therefore us, he has become our eternal high priest in the order of Melchizedek. So YAHAWASHI was our greatest example. All right, so, you know, I hope that was edifying to the Lord's elect. The water for you brothers stopping in. I want to get out of here by giving all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakadash, Brakatah Yahawah, Brakatah Yahawashai, Brakatah Yahawah, Brakatah Yahawashai. Keep the faith. Kwam Yasharala and a ball for ball. All right, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. Y'all better stay up.